This is a quick walkthrough of my Ruby on Rails portfolio project. This is using Rails version 5, and the first project requirement was a has many through association with a join table with a user submittable attribute. So you can see here my recipe model has many recipe ingredients, has many ingredients through recipe ingredients, many directions, belongs to a user. The join table is the recipe ingredients model. And that model, as you can see, belongs to a recipe and an ingredient. And the ingredient has many recipe ingredients and has many recipes through recipe ingredients. So also another project requirement was to use validations. So I've set a few of those up. The recipe model validates the presence of the title and description. Recipe ingredients validates the quantity in units, and ingredient validates the name presence. I'm also using a scope method on my recipe model, or two scopes, to sort by the most recent posted recipes and the length of the recipe title on my index page. This application is using user authentication through the devise gem, which sets up all the registrations, controllers, and I also used omniauth to allow a user to authenticate with GitHub. So I set that up. And then within the controller, for the recipes controller, just basic CRUD actions here. I set up some before actions for authenticating the user, except for the index and show, and finding a recipe by ID, which is a method I set up here. In the private methods, in here you can see the parameters that I've set up for a recipe. It's permitting the title and description attributes, and then it has nested within it direction attributes and recipe ingredient attributes, and nested within these attributes are the ingredient attributes. So it's nested, I guess that would be two levels there. And this is just a basic, create, read, update, destroy, edit, setup. I don't think there's anything special there. Within my views, I set up, this is, these are on the new, creating a new is rendering a partial here, the form, which is another requirement to use partials. And also on my show page, I render the recipe partial. And these are pretty basic. This index page, it shows the recipes. Depending on if the user is signed in or not, it'll either allow them to view or tell them to sign in to create or edit a recipe. Within the form for creating a recipe, this is where we're using the nested form fields for the nested resources on recipe ingredients here. We use fields for, which is a nested field, and that's fields for quantity in unit. And then within that, I'm also doing another nesting of ingredient fields. So there's the double nested there form, and at the bottom, the directions are using a gem called nested fields for to allow the user to dynamically add steps as they're creating the directions. So I did try to do that here within the ingredients area, but I think because of this join table and double nested attributes, it was just a little complicated. I couldn't get that to work quite right. So, and then also I'm using some bootstrap that I set up, and I'm rendering partials for a jumbotron, which is this top gray bar here, and a nav bar that I created in here, which has some if-else statements depending on if the user signed in or not, what links are displayed. And I think that's pretty much the overall setup. Those were the main requirements. Like I said, it has the validations, and then I'll show you the validation errors. So if a user tries to log in and they don't put any data, it will give them a notice here. The same thing on the sign up, and it shows what's prohibiting them from signing up. And then you can also view from the landing page here the latest recipes, which is what those scope methods were for, to show here the most recently created recipes, and it won't allow you to view them or edit them unless you're signed in or they belong to you. So we'll log in. I'll log in with my GitHub. I've already done that, so it says successfully authenticated from GitHub. And here you can again view the most recent recipes. And this one I know was created by a different user, and it won't allow you to edit or delete it. But if you go back, I think this one, I guess none of those were created by the current user. Anyhow, so here are the current user's recipes. So you can view them, and then it allows you to edit or delete. So we can edit. So then I'm not going to choose. We'll just do a quick edit there. We can add a step. Dynamic step adding and submit it, and then it shows you a notification that it was updated. And you can see it's kind of a weird name, but anyway, it updated the few things that I did there. So we'll go now to create a recipe. And I'm going to refactor this so that I can add in these nested recipe ingredients and ingredient name. I want to add them dynamically because this is not exactly user-friendly at this point. But at least down here, I can dynamically add steps, and that does work well, and it saves to the database properly as well. So then it says recipe successfully created, and it gives you the user name, and everything comes out well. You can go edit it. And submit that, and it updates. I think that's about it. And you go view your recipes, and you'll see it's right there. It shows it, most recent recipes, and it shows up here Now if I click view, you can see since it belongs to me, I can edit or delete it. But these other ones, they do not allow you to edit or delete them. And I think that's about it for now. So I hope you enjoyed my Rails portfolio project review or walkthrough. And I'm going to definitely expand upon this and refactor a few things. And I'm going to, once we get into JavaScript, I'm going to dynamically add those form fields. So that's all for now. Thank you, and I'll be back soon.